Let's practice interpreting a heating curve that's definitely not water, and you'll be able to tell why in a second. At what temperature does this mystery substance freeze? Remember that freezing is when energy is being removed from the system, so that's going this direction in the heating curve. You can actually flip the whole thing around and make it a cooling curve if you wanted to, but they tell you the same information, just the direction is different. So this substance freezes at B. You can tell because every plateau is a transition of state. So we have solid, liquid, gas. The first plateau is going to be freezing and melting, and the second plateau is going to be boiling and condensation. So to answer the question, at what temperature does it freeze? We know it happens at level B, but 5 degrees Celsius is the freezing point, which, by the way, is the same as the melting point. So the freezing point is equal to the melting point. The only thing that's different is the direction you're going. 2. At what temperature does the substance boil? Now we're looking for boiling, which is the other plateau. So here's the boiling point. It happens at D, the section D, but in terms of the letter, we would put 20 degrees Celsius. 3. At what temperature does the substance melt? Now this helps to remember that freezing and melting are the same temperature, just different directions. So melting is also going to occur at that 5 degree Celsius point. Now we got to think about the regions of the curve. So from this heating curve, you may remember that A, this section is when it's a solid, and then C, this section is when it's a liquid, and then E, this section is when it's a gas. So what letter represents the range where the solid is being warmed? That's going to be A. So that's this region here. What letter represents the range where the liquid is being warmed? Well, of course, we see that that's going to be, well, C. 6. What letter represents the range where the vapor is being warmed? So that's basically the gas that's just getting hotter and hotter. And of course, that is going to be E. Number 7, what letter represents the melting of the solid? So the melting of the solid, that's going to be when the solid starts to transition into a liquid, and that happens at B. What letter represents the vaporization of the liquid? Recall that vaporization is when the liquid is turning into a gas. So that's going to be this section here, D. What letter represents condensation? Vaporization is from left to right. So if you think of vaporization, it's going to go this direction. We're adding energy from the left, and we're adding more and more energy as we approach the right. Condensation is the same thing, just opposite direction. So it's a change, it's a difference in which phases are turning into which. Vaporization is liquid to gas. Condensation is gas to liquid. So it's actually the same section. And then 10, what letter represents fusion? Fusion is a term that we use another term for melting, so that's going to be the solid to liquid transition. And as we saw from our diagram, that's going to be B. So that's how you read a heating curve that isn't water. Recall something really important. The freezing point is the level of the lowest plateau. It's also the same as the melting point. And then the second plateau, that'll tell you the level for the boiling point or condensation point. If it's above the boiling point, it's a gas. If it's below the freezing point, it's a solid. And if it's in between the plateaus, it's a liquid.